Hey everyone! So this video is going to be covering the concept of language and word choice in The Outsiders. So our objective for this lesson is going to be to analyze word choice and its impact on the tone of the story. And the specific question that we're going to be looking at answering is, does the author use a formal or informal kind of language, and explain how we know how. So before we get started, we're going to be taking a look at these two different types of language that usually writers are writing within. So they can either write in a kind of formal tone, which I always think of as the academic language, or language that contains a lot of different jargon. So if it's very technical in nature, or if it has a lot of unknown words or highfalutin words, that's typically going to be your formal. That's how you would kind of either talk to your boss, talk to your teachers, or talk to your parents. Whereas informal is almost the exact opposite. So it's a common or colloquial phrases. So when I say colloquial phrases, those are phrases that are specific to an area that you live in, or they're kind of low common phrases. This would be kind of how you talk to your friends. So you're not going to be really formal and have a lot of vocabulary thrown in there. You're going to kind of talk in what's comfortable. And so we're going to be analyzing a passage, or a couple of passages actually, to determine, okay, is this formal language or is this informal language? So to get us started, we're going to be reading a couple of different excerpts from when Ponyboy uses a specific, we'll call it phrasing. He almost comes up with his own vocabulary in a way. So that kind of gives you a hint as to which type of language we're going to be looking at. So this first section is really early on, and he talks about this difference between two words that one he's kind of come up with, and one is kind of in our vocabulary already. So it's going to be this first section here. Tough and tough are two different words. Tough is the same as rough. Tough means cool, sharp, like a tough-looking Mustang or a tough record. In our neighborhood, both are compliments. So if we kind of look at it right off the bat, this tough and tough issue or difference that he's trying to establish really does seem to point to this informal. So tough would be kind of a really common word instead of strong or mighty, which would be more formal words or more highfalutin academic language. So when we begin to look at the second section, we're going to be taking a look, okay, does it still fit within this informal that we've already begun to found, or is it going to fit more in the formal? So I wish I could say that everything went back to normal, but it didn't, especially me. I started running into things, like the door, and kept tripping over the coffee table and losing things. I've always been kind of absent-minded, but man, then I was lucky if I got to school with the right notebook and both shoes on. I walked all the way home once in my stockings and in my stocking feet, and didn't notice it until Steve made some bright remark about it. I guess I left my shoes in the locker room at school, but I never did find them. And another thing, I quit eating. I used to eat like a horse, but all of a sudden I wasn't hungry. Everything tasted like bologna. I was lousy on my schoolwork too. I didn't do too badly in math, because Dare checked over my homework in that and usually caught all my mistakes and made me do it again. But in English, I really washed out. I used to make A's in English, mostly because my teacher made us do compositions all the time. I mean, I know I don't talk good English. Have you ever heard a hood that did? But I can write it good when I try. At least I could before. Now I was lucky to get a D on a composition. So the section really does allow us an opportunity to analyze for word choice in a lot of different ways. So we could kind of look at the words that he's using. So one that jumps out to me is like the word lousying. You don't really hear that anymore. That also kind of indicates the time period that this is setting in. Baloney, not only for the food, but the fact that, that's kind of an informal way. You could have said meat, or whatever he would have chosen to. But one section that really does jump out is this section down here when he's talking about his English teacher and the compositions. And for those of you that don't know, a composition would be the same thing as like an essay. So when he says, I know I don't talk good English, he could say, I know I don't talk English well, if he was trying to maintain a formal kind of vocabulary or tone. Have you ever seen a hood that did? But I can write it good when I try. Instead of saying, I can write it well, I can write it good when I try. So all of that really points to this informal idea. He's writing in a very common language. And when we think about why, the author, S.E. Hinton, is really trying to make this appeal to a broader audience. She wants this character of Ponyboy to be extremely relatable, and so that's why she's using common language. She wouldn't want to use an academic language to appeal to the target audience, which was a teenager at the time. So I hope that helps you as you're studying language and word choice during this week's choice board.